I've got no idea what is going on up there, but let's just start recording. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another wrap-up and Q&A. If you're new here and you haven't heard one of these episodes before, I'm going to go back over the last 6 or so episodes and pull out the teachable moments, hacks, tricks, things that you should be implementing in your day-to-day life that will help you find your true form and live a life true to you. I know last time I did one of these, which was quite a long time ago, I said I'd be doing one a month or thereabouts. But you know what? I just get some amazing guests on, and after the conversations, I get excited and I just want to release them to you. And it just kept happening. Again, I'm very appreciative of all the guests that come on. And again, the last 6 episodes have been just mind-blowing. A lot of good takeaways, a lot of teachable moments, and a lot of things you can do in your day-to-day life that will help you live that long, healthy, happy life. There was one in the most recent episode with Christopher. I did bring up a topic that upset a few of you. I think it was just me not asking the right question or asking it in the wrong way. I do apologise for that. I will go over that once we get to Christopher's episode, but we're going to go all the way back and go back to BPRIMAL's episode. I think normally I do the questions first and then wrap up the episodes, but the questions I got from you guys are amazing. And I think the episodes are going to help answer those questions. If you ever want to submit a question, you can find me on Instagram, reply to this video, email, wherever. Ask your questions there. Again, big thanks to everybody that submitted a question. Now, my goal is for this True Form podcast to help you find your true form. And these episodes, again, are part of that, taking the teachable moments to help you start finding whatever it is that you call your true form and a life true to you. It's going to be different for everybody. Podcast, listening along, watching the videos, they're all good, but you really need to start implementing things. And that's why I created the community behind this. I don't want this just to be another podcast out there talking to people. I want it to be somewhere where you can come and take those teachable moments, those practical things, and start implementing it into your day-to-day life. And that's why I created the community behind this podcast. So if you don't know, again, there's a community. There's a bunch of us in there smashing it out. Different challenges. Again, all the teachings and learnings I'm getting from the podcast, I'm implementing them into the community. So a big part of that is the workout program. As if you don't know, I'm a personal trainer. I've been in the health and fitness for way too long now, many years. And I do believe finding your true form starts in the gym or just moving your body. Having a strong body, I think, then starts giving you a strong mind. And it's just the base to living a long, healthy, happy life. All these other things go on top of that. But I do believe the biggest part of all this is moving your body. And that's why the workout program is a big part of the community. If you haven't seen, there is 2 options. If you're a brand new person to the gym and you're not sure where to start, there's a beginner's program. If you're a little bit more advanced, you know what's up and you want to start smashing a little bit harder, you jump into the second option, which is for intermediate to advanced. The program covers all your bases, so strength, muscle building, fat loss, cardio, mobility, it's all in there. So if you don't want to do the strength day, you can do the cardio day, flexibility. Again, the options are yours. Everybody's going through it together, so we're all smashing it together as a community. But not only that, there's, again, a bunch of challenges that I put together within the community. Takeaways from each podcast, I've been putting them into the community and action, just giving you things to make sure that you actually put them into action in your day-to-day life. And again, all in the community, it's $44 a month. And you can cancel in time. I don't want to, if you get in there and you don't find there's much value, you can leave, but I'm sure you will if you jump in and start smashing it out. All right. I think that's all I had to cover. Let's get into wrapping up some episodes. We're going back all the way. Like I said, it's been a while since I've done this, done one of these episodes. We're going back to BPRIMAL. So BPRIMAL is a footwear company, a shop, I guess you could say. And the owners are just very passionate about getting people into the right footwear. And we also had Mick on the podcast. Mick is a physio based here in Melbourne, all about running. And if you, again, it'll be in the show notes, but if you follow him on Instagram and you are into running and all that sort of stuff, you're going to get a lot of good takeaways. And the main thing, there's two main takeaways from that episode. We'll start on the running one. A lot of people that get foot pain think it's the shoe, but it's not the shoe that is causing the pain. It's just probably a weak foot or somewhere around the ankle, calf, knee, anywhere. It's all connected anyway, but it's somewhere around there. There's a weakness that is causing that pain, especially with runners. I see this with runners, with my clients all the time when I get a client come in and they're like, oh, I got this foot pain. I'm trying to find the right shoe. It's not the shoe. It's probably your running technique, which means you've got a weakness here or there. But not only that, the general public as well. If you are wearing some shoes and you're getting some foot pain, then it's not the shoe, it's a weak foot. And I explained this in the episode. I always struggled with tight calves, tight feet, like foot pain. I'd go to bed and I'd just be in that much pain I couldn't sleep. My feet and just from my knee down was just that tight. And then as soon as I jumped into barefoot shoes, within 3 days, it was gone because my foot strengthened up and there was more stability there. I don't know, it just loosened off. It was, again, for me, it was absolutely life-changing because I wasn't in that pain anymore. I could move better in the gym. I could move better in life. And yeah, again, it was just, for me, it was amazing. And that's why I love to get these guys on to talk about it as well, because they know and they sell shoes to people and they see this all the time as well. So again, if you've got foot pain, it's probably not the shoe, it's your actual foot. Please go back and listen to that episode if you do have any sort of pains around your feet or running and that sort of stuff. You'll get a lot of takeaways from it. And the biggest thing for me as well, like I just explained it in the intro, moving your body and getting strong is the base to finding your true form in life. I can't stress that enough. The more you move your body, the stronger you are, the stronger your mind will be. And again, you just start building on top of that. And if you haven't got a strong base, if your feet aren't connected to the ground, then you can't really get as much out of the workout as possible. I know I'm sort of diving into very niche here, but I see it all the time, especially with my clients. They come in with these big soft running shoes, trying to lift weights or move properly, and it's just stopping them from moving properly and getting the most out of the workouts. So again, you want to, if you're working out and you're spending an hour in the gym, you want to get as much out of that hour as possible. So technique matters, how you move matters, and it all starts with your feet. If you haven't got a good solid base on the ground, then you're not going to get the most out of the workout. So again, it starts there. Like I've just said that it starts with the workout, but then your workout matters, and the workout starts at your feet. You are on your feet working out. You're moving, running, jumping, lifting weights, whatever you're doing, yoga, you're still on your feet. So it matters. You do yoga in bare feet. So that might give you some sort of indication on how important barefoot shoes are. All right, enough about that. Let's move on to Sammie Lee. So Sammie come on the podcast to talk about food addiction and trauma and how trauma can lead into food addictions, whether it is literally eating too much or not eating enough. And what was crazy about Sammie's story is she went through both. Like thinking back on the episode, it still gets me a little bit. So just from a young age, bit of a, I guess, sensitivity warning. If you, I don't even know how to give these warnings, but if you're triggered in any way, please seek help with what I'm about to say. Sammie was sexually abused from a young age, which led her to eating too much. And at the age of, I think, about 10, if I remember correctly, she was well overweight from eating. Like, food was her comfort. And then that sexual abuse went to the next level. And then within, I think it was like 6 to 12 months, she had lost something stupid like 60 kilos. And she wasn't a big person to start with. So losing 60 kilos in such a short amount of time obviously started causing really bad health issues. And she probably struggled with that for the next almost decade. She'd clinically died about 3 or 4 times from her eating disorders, come back again, tried to get help, and it just kept going and going and going. And again, like, to come out of that and then look back on that journey and share that story, it's just, it fills your heart, because you know that if you're going through something and you can get out the other side, but you need help and you need to reach out. And that is the hard part, when you're in those moments of basically just despair, and your body is wasting away, your mind's wasting away, and you're just ready to die. You can get out the other side. You just need to reach out and find help. And again, go back and have a listen to Sammie's story. She goes through these cycles of just getting better, getting hospitalised, getting better, and it just goes and goes and goes. And it wasn't until somebody asked her, "What happened to you? Like, what's going on? What happened to you?" And then that question just flicked a switch for Sammie, and then that got her out of that cycle. And then she's become the coach and the amazing person she is now, that helps people go through similar things. So again, it just goes to show that you can overcome anything, but you do need help. So don't be afraid to ask. My biggest takeaway from that episode is just try not to be afraid of asking for help. It's, again, Sammie talks about it as well. Just reach out, get some help. I know, again, that's easier said than done, but in those situations, it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but people around you will probably see that light for you and want to help you get there. So reach out, go back, have a listen to that story if you are struggling with any sort of eating disorders, mindset around food, all that sort of stuff. Again, very inspiring to see what Sammie went through and where she's now. So again, big thanks to Sammie for coming on the pod. Cosmos, great episode on for the next one. And it almost followed along with Sammie's episode. So you had somebody going through those childhood issues, those early teen issues, those younger adult issues. And then the very next week, I've got Cosmos, who is probably Australia's leading family therapist. He goes over it in the podcast. Him and his team basically created the family therapy used today here in Melbourne, 40 years ago or something like that. So it's cool. It was very interesting to see how that evolved into what therapy is now. So he has dealt with, again, he's had a whole career in therapy, psychotherapy, all that sort of stuff. So he has seen people like Sammie go through these issues. And 2 big takeaways from that. I think it goes back to Sammie's episode of, if somebody in your family is struggling, he sort of explained that you don't want to just focus on that one person. It's the environment, it's the people around you, it's your community, it's your life, and that life is everybody around you, like I just said. So it's good to focus. Again, he explains this way better than I am in the podcast, so go back and have a listen to it. But family therapy is about the community around you, not just that single person going through issues. Now, obviously, I asked him about, different types of therapy. And yes, if you're struggling, and you should go to a therapist and talk through those struggles to help you out the other side. But as a whole, it's always good to go do some sort of community therapy, family therapy, and that can be done in many different ways. So that was it was a good way to just view therapy. Again, whenever we see somebody going through issues, mental health, eating disorders, all that sort of stuff, we just focus on them and just them instead of the people around them. Like, again, we might be influencing people and we don't even realise it. And if somebody close to you is going through some issues, it could be coming from you as well. So it's also good for you to go through that therapy with them so you can all grow together and become a stronger family community, have a stronger relationship, all that sort of stuff. So don't just sort of point the finger and say that person is going through something. It's like, we're going through something. So go through it with them, and you find that it's just going to help you and the person, and it helps you understand what they're going through as well. So don't just sort of let them go. It just goes back to what I said with Sammie's episode. If you are going through that, there are people around you that want to help. It's just sometimes they don't know how to help. It's very confronting, all that sort of stuff. So if you are that person on the outside watching that person, go through it with them is one of the big takeaways from there. We also spoke about resilience. I asked Cosmos to explain resilience and what he thought resilience was. Again, this is somebody that has done a stupid amount of therapy sessions with families, individuals, different walks of life, all that sort of stuff. He's helped PhD students do a bunch of different research. He's published, I don't know, hundreds of articles on this. So he knows what resilience is, and he's seen it through every type of walk of life. So if you want to, just go back and listen to that. I'm pretty sure I clipped that on YouTube, so you can just go back and listen to his definition of resilience. And my biggest take, social media, this whole hustle, commodity economy, whatever you want to call it, it's like go, push. And you got to just keep pushing through. And when things come up, you just push them out of the way, or you're just a brick wall and they smash against you and you just keep going. Cosmos explained it just in a way where you just want to be adaptable. Like, resilience comes from molding to your environment and not being so rigid, accepting. It's probably more acceptance is resilience. So again, I just probably butchered that massively. So please go back and listen to his definition of resilience. It will completely change your mindset, and it's inspiring as well. Once he finished, I had goosebumps. I was just like, that. It's just going to help you understand yourself and others. And again, if you're going through pretty serious issues, it's going to help you accept them and get through them and help other people get through them. All right, so then we moved on to Dr. Susie Craig. Dr. Susie was amazing. And again, this is somebody else that has had a lot of real world experience. I love getting people on like Susie who are working with people. They've got a lot of knowledge, but they are implementing that knowledge with their clients as well. So you always get some really good takeaways from people like Susie. So it was all about fertility, women's health, all that sort of stuff. So if you are, a female and you are struggling through some health issues, definitely go back to listen to that episode. One thing is, women are told to just deal with it when it comes to their hormones, period pain, fertility, but there are things you can be doing to help you through those in a healthy way. Susie sort of combined Chinese medicine and Western medicine to, I guess, have her own views of how to help people. And it's a great view to have. We spoke about this before and after, and we catched up a couple of times since. And again, just her way of helping people is just a lot more in depth and a way that comes from the heart and caring about people. We didn't really dive into Susie's story, but I won't dive into it here either. She might not want me to share it. Hopefully I'll get her back on for round 2, but I just know that her helping people comes from a place within her heart and her caring about people. So just a really good episode about health, fertility. I learned a lot from it as well. So yeah, a lot of good takeaways from there. And again, 2 more takeaways. We sort of spoke about this at the end of the podcast about helping yourself and taking care of yourself. You can't live a life true to you unless you are looking after yourself. And a lot of the time, especially when it comes to mothers, we spoke about this. Obviously, I deal with mothers in a completely different way, new mothers to Susie. But we both have dealt with, females going into pregnancy, going through the pregnancy, and then afterwards as well. And one big thing is that they forget about themselves, and it's totally understandable, but you need to look after yourself. And it's not selfish to look after yourself. A lot of the time, again, both Susie and I could relate to this. It almost new mothers think it's selfish to be looking after themselves, and it's definitely not. If you can look after yourself, you have a lot more energy, a lot more love, a lot more care to give. If you're run down and you're just giving everybody everything, then you haven't got much energy to give. So it's definitely not selfish to take the time and look after yourself. And Susie brought an example on of one of her clients, how she, a mother of 2 kids, I think it was, is doing that, and she's implementing that, and she will say no to things. She will, almost upset people because she's taken the time to care about herself and, whatever it was, yoga, eat food, take some time out, go on holidays, that sort of stuff. But it's also showing her kids that it's okay to do that, and it's okay to look after yourself, and it's not selfish. So again, that is a big takeaway from that as well. It's not selfish to look after yourself. It's the opposite, whatever that may be. One more thing, we sort of touched on exercise. And even Susie was saying how important it is just to lift heavy shit. And that's a quote from, it was stuff, not shit. And that was a quote from Susie, and that was, and that comes from her as well, me, and all the research she's done through her PhD and all that sort of stuff. It's just lift heavy stuff, and it will help you live a healthier life. And your fertility, your health, all that sort of stuff starts with in the gym lifting heavy stuff. And it goes back to what I said at the start of the episode. Get in the gym. Your true form starts in the gym lifting stuff. Your body feels good. Again, I'm not going to go over all the benefits from lifting, but it all starts in the gym lifting stuff. So it was good to hear that from Susie, and it's just reassuring for me. I'm like, yeah, I am right. And all the research is right, and everybody else preaching that is right. So big thanks to Susie again. Next, we had Andrew Joblin come on. So Andrew is a public speaker. He has his own podcast. Definitely check it out. Very inspiring human. He used to play AFL here for St Kilda. Again, I'm not really around the AFL thing. Sorry to all the Victorians, but I did grow up in New South Wales, so I know NRL a little bit more. But yes, ex-AFL player, very inspiring public speaker, and it comes through in his podcast as well. And that's why I wanted to get him on the podcast. Some really big takeaways and things that I've actually implemented when I went through, a couple of weeks back, I went through as you do, you start questioning life. Like, what am I doing? Is this really working? Are people listening? Am I really worthy of having this podcast and talking to all these guests? Like, why they want to talk to me is the big thing. And he sort of explains that you need to go back and find evidence of this. So if you don't feel worthy or you feel like you aren't doing this sort of thing, you can go back and just look at the things you've been doing over the last week, month, year, and then you're like, oh yeah, I did do that. I have been doing this podcast pretty much every week for the last 4 years. So no wonder people want to come on. Like, every time I finish with a guest, they're like, that was great conversation. Okay, that's another tick. So you could just go back and you can find the evidence through what you've been doing to validate the person you want to be or what you're trying to do. And if you haven't got it, you've got to go out and get it. So it was just a really good way of motivating yourself through your past experiences, what you have been doing. And again, like, if you haven't got it, okay, so if I'm not feeling worthy of this podcast, I've got to up my game. I've got to make sure that the video quality is good, the sound's good. I need to make sure that I have good questions for the guests. So if I haven't got that evidence, I've got to find it and go do it and get that evidence, so then I can say, okay, yeah, I'm a good podcaster. I get some good guests on, And no wonder they want to come on the podcast because of this, this, and this. So, and I strongly recommend writing it down. Write it down. Like, open up, get a bit of paper and write that out. That's exactly what I did, and it helped me find clarity and, again, the direction where I want to go. So, but it could be not just podcasting. You can use it for anything. Like if you're trying to smash a health and fitness goal, you want to lose 10 kilos. Okay, I haven't lost 10 kilos yet, but I have been going to the gym consistently. Okay, so check. I'm found consistent exercising. I've been eating breakfast, but I haven't been doing dinner properly. Okay, so that's something I can work on. So it's just like you're going through all this evidence, and some of it's good and bad, and then you find where you need to improve. But write it out. It makes a huge difference. And you also sort of touched on when I feel like a big thing, especially now that I've created this community, and I'm very grateful for this. I have amazing people around me trying to absolutely smash amazing goals, whether it's trying to build communities, non-for-profits, businesses, just other avenues to helping people. And they start, but then it's like, I want to have this workshop, but this and this and this. And it's like they don't think they're worthy yet. And the thing is, you're never really going to be worthy. You've just got to do it and just, again, find that if you haven't got that evidence to show your worth, you've got to go and find that evidence to prove you're worthy. So we just sort of spoke about, where was it? When I feel worthy, I'll start. And it's like, you're never going to feel worthy. You've got to go out and get that worth through the evidence. So that was, again, big takeaway from that episode. So if you are somebody out there thinking about trying to start something, whether it's just a YouTube channel, podcast, email list, whatever it is, just go out and get that evidence to prove that you're worthy. And you can only do that by starting. So yeah, again, very inspirational. Just trying to see what else I've got there. Yeah. So all my notes there was just about going out and finding the evidence to show that you are worthy. Vahid, again, the next three guests just come. I recorded these 3 episodes in 1 week, and it was just a mind-blowing week. So if you do really want to change the way you think and feel and start finding your true form, I don't know. Again, I don't know how this just... I did not plan this. These 3 guests just came to me and it just worked out that way. Listen, I deliberately released these episodes in this order so it would, again, there's a method to my madness in that order of the podcast. So listen to Feed's episode, Kevin's, Dr. Kevin, Misri, and then Christopher August's episode as well. So go through in that order. It's going to take you a good maybe 3.5 hours, maybe 4, but it is worth it. Listen to it over a couple of days. It's just sit back, don't go in with judgment, and just listen to what they are saying. And just since that week of recording those 3 episodes for myself, I have completely changed my view on a lot of different things, and I feel like I'm this close to finding my true form. You're never going to find your true form. It's always a journey, but it feels like it's there. And it's a feeling that I've never had before. So a big thanks to those 3 guys for coming on the podcast. And I don't think they know the impact that they've had on me and my life. But I do this podcast so it can help you find your true form as well. So I know a couple of you have reached out and did it in that order, like I've said in the past. And it's just like, yeah, a lot of mind-blowing ways just to start thinking about life and yourself. Anyway, Vahid, so one of the biggest again, a lot of good takeaways in all 3 episodes. One of the biggest ones was we always try and be the best version of ourselves 100% of the time, but you're only going to be that best version probably 10% of the time. And in that 10%, you've got to maximize that 10%. So whatever you're trying to do in that period when you are the best, you've got the most energy, you're giving everything, just block out everything else and just absolutely kill it, because in the other 90% of the time, you're going to be distracted, you're not going to be bothered, you're going to be a bit down, so in that 10%, and again, Vahid probably explains this way better in the podcast, just when you are optimized, just take advantage of it. That is my biggest takeaway from that. It was, and it was reassuring because, again, once you start building something like this, you start seeing other people and you're like comparing yourself and like, oh, they're always so good and they're smashing so much, and how are they doing all of these things? And I'm struggling just to get one episode out. And it's like, well, they understand if you're in that 10%, you optimize for that 10% and you absolutely kill it, you do a whole lot more work in that time period than you do for the rest of the 90% of the day. So again, it was sort of reassuring for me to hear that as well, that other people, are going through the same thing. Also, finding your why. As a common theme through the next 3 episodes, but finding your why. A lot of the times we are influenced by outside, thoughts, advertising, people's opinions on why we should do something. And it could be, again, losing that 10 kilos. Like, why do you want to lose that 10 kilos? A lot of it's just like, I just want to lose 10 kilos. I'll start going to the gym. But if you take the time to figure out why, and if it's actual, like, why you want to do that, and it's okay if it's an external validation, but understanding where that why come from is going to help you achieve that goal. So if you need to lose 10 kilos, but it's as Vahid, I'm going to use Vahid's example in that episode. He's like, oh, my girlfriend thinks I'm fat and I need to lose 10 kilos. Okay, you might just go, oh, wake up one day, oh, I need to lose 10 kilos. But if you start to think, okay, well, where'd that come from? All right, my partner thinks I'm overweight and I need to lose 10 kilos. Why does she think that? Well, she cares about me and she wants me to be healthy. I should care about me. Again, like, you can just go down that, and again, strongly recommend writing it out. It's going to help a lot. So writing those out, but just taking the time to think about, why am I doing this? Like, if you're doing something, just stop, think, take a couple of breaths, and why am I actually doing this? Like, who am I doing this for? Am I doing it for me? Does it come from a place of love and care for people? I'm talking about the podcast. So I often do that. Like, sometimes I am, trying to take the podcast down a certain direction or do something new, and I just stop and think, take a couple of breaths, and like, where's this coming from? And usually it's coming from, again, me looking at other podcasts and what they're doing and trying to keep up with them. And it comes from a place of ego rather than a place of me trying to help you guys. So I think in that way I can produce better content, I can ask better questions to the guests, get better guests on, all that sort of stuff. So again, and even if I want to use that why to be better than the other podcasters, that's okay, because, for me to grow and get better guests on, all that sort of stuff, I need to be the best of the best. And it drives me to, improve my language, improve my questions, pronounce my words properly, stop using Aussie slang all the time, all that sort of stuff. So I'm getting there. All right. So moving on to Kevin. This is probably one of the biggest episodes, most downloaded episodes I've had in a long time as well. Just because there was so much knowledge and takeaway. Again, so Kevin has worked as a doctor. I'm not going to explain his story, but he has worked with a lot of people. He's seen a lot of healthy people, a lot of sick people, and a lot of dying people, and a lot of people that are aging way too soon. And that's why he wrote his book, The 7 Primal Steps to Living a Long, Healthy, Happy Life. I don't know the full name, but definitely check it out. It's a great book. If you don't want to check it out, just go through the podcast and listen, because we cover all the 7 steps. But when he was in a doctor, he was doing, I think it was pathology. So he's scanning people's brains, bodies, all that sort of stuff. And he could see, so some people were 40, but he'd scan them and they looked like a 60-year-old on their scan, or an 80-year-old. But then there was other people he'd scanned that were 80, but they looked like they're 40. He's like, well, what the hell is going on here? How can some people be so young but so old, but how can these old people look so young? So that's when he started diving into all this sort of research and finding out what actually helps you live a healthy life and stop you from aging. Again, one of the biggest takeaways is that we age from the inside. A lot of us do, again, not judging, you do you, whatever you want, but don't cover the inside up with outside cosmetics. A lot of us think we're aging from the outside. We get wrinkles, or we get grey hairs, or we might not look the way we want to look because we're getting older. That's fine, but pay attention to what is happening on the inside. You will age a lot faster on the inside. You can't see that, so it's harder to, I guess, take action on. Like if you see a wrinkle, you can put some cream on, but if your heart's if you've got calcification around your heart, you can't see that, and you can't take action on that like a cream like that. So it takes food, sleep, stressing less, exercising to help that heart be healthy, but it's going to help you live a longer, healthy, happy life, and you'll probably look younger as well. So a lot of good takeaways in there. One of the best ones was the bridge analogy. If you didn't see that on social media, excuse me a second. It's been a while since I've just talked to you for 30 minutes straight. The bridge analogy. So again, this is probably one of the best analogies I've heard for sleep. So you got a suspension bridge, you got one side of the bridge and then the other side of the bridge. And in between is all the water, and the bridge is just suspended across that water. There's nothing else holding it up. So as he explained, you can have all these cars, traffic, buses, trucks, trains going over this bridge, and it's going to stay stable because on each end it is stable and it is strong. And each end simulates your morning routine and your night routine of waking up and going to sleep. So if you can nail the sleep patterns, so waking up properly and then going to sleep properly, whatever happens through the day, you can eat shit food, not exercise, have a stressful day, I don't know, whatever can happen within a day, as long as you got those pillars at each end of the day, each end of the bridge, nothing else, you can mitigate everything. So I thought it was just a good analogy. If you want to hear it properly, again, butchering it, just jump on my social media, on YouTube, in Instagram, wherever. I posted it everywhere, but just because it was such a good analogy. The bridge analogy, go listen to it. It just goes to show how important sleep is. Again, you can have the worst day ever, but if your sleep is good, it doesn't matter. There's no downside because your sleep is optimized. I wish I could probably just do a whole episode just reviewing that episode. So make sure you go have a listen to that. Very practical. Again, I feel like Vahid was sort of bringing your mindset into, okay, I want to change, why I want to change, what's happening, what do I do? And then you listen to Kevin's episode, he's like, do these. And if you start implementing what he talks about in that podcast, you're going to start finding your health. And then at the end of that podcast, Kevin was actually saying, all right, now that you got your health sorted, there's one extra step. And that step is finding your true form, your true purpose in life. And that led into Christopher's episode, which again, I did not plan. It was just amazing. So Christopher's episode, Christopher August, we spoke about basically the whole episode was on authenticity, I guess you could say, and finding your authentic self. Again, I think I translate that to finding your true self. And he actually sort of used those words in that podcast, which was cool. I don't think I was on the same level as Christopher. A lot of the stuff he was saying I didn't really understand, but I'm trying to then understand it. So I've actually listened back to the episode a couple of times now just to try and understand what he was saying. So I feel like he was up here and I was down here, and some of the things just weren't translating for me, and that's on me, as we sort of spoke about in the podcast. And we'll get into what I said about relationships and kids and that sort of stuff and holding up mirrors in a second, which upset a few of you. And again, I apologize. But it's just, holding up that mirror. Like, if you aren't getting what you want out of life, it's basically holding a mirror to what you aren't getting, and it's, again, reflecting back onto you. So you need to change whatever you need to get those things and change that reflection in the mirror. Terrible way of explaining that episode. But again, like I said, how Christopher was explaining it was way above my understanding and knowledge of this sort of stuff. And again, that's why I like getting these guests on the podcast, because it's teaching me, which I know is going to teach you. Another thing he sort of explained was the victim or creator. So a lot of us will, again, it's back to that mirror analogy that I butchered. Things happen in life, and a lot of people will go, oh, this is happening, and why is this happening to me? This is so hard, all this sort of stuff. And that's the victim. You don't want to be the victim. You want to be the creator. So life is getting created for you. And if you can flick that switch and see those bad things as ways to grow, or, change your view of the world, all this sort of stuff, you start creating a life that is a lot better and a lot more for you instead of against you. Again, I'm shaking my head. If you're not watching, I'm shaking my head with my way of trying to explain these concepts. I should probably just leave it there and make you go back and listen to the episode, which I'm going to do, but I will explain. So Christopher sort of spoke about relationships as well, and I've sort of been going through this a little bit as well about relationships and how to have a good relationship, all that sort of stuff. And he just explains that you don't want to need something from your partner. It's a want. If you need something, that's missing, something missing from you. So if I need that love from my partner, I need it. That's what's keeping it going. Then you're missing that need within yourself. It's maybe you don't have enough love for yourself, so you're going out and trying to basically squeeze it out of somebody else. And not only is that going to be very draining for that partner, it's very draining for you, because you're putting so much energy and effort into trying to get that love and that validation from that person, when you've got to get it from within yourself. That's something that comes from you. You need to love and validate yourself, and then you don't need it. You just want it from somebody else. And that, when it comes from a place of want instead of need, I've spoken about this before when it comes to health and fitness goals. If you want something, it's a whole lot better, because you are going out and getting it. If it's a need, it's almost like, it's scarcity. And if you don't get it, your world ends. And especially when it comes to a person in your life, if that need for love disappears, then your life can come crumbling down. But if that love is internal, then there's nothing to crumble, because it's you. Okay. That made no sense at all. Again, go back and listen to his episode. But what I was trying to get at, I sort of spoke about how I've been dating I was dating for the last couple of months, and I just found that there's a weird thing about kids at the moment. Again, it's probably just, I don't think it's just me, but I think I asked the question in the wrong way to sort of, maybe come across as I was trying to have a dig at females out there for not wanting kids, and that's definitely not the case. And I apologise if it come across that way. One person's like, oh, well, if you're out there dating and you want kids, like, what sort of people are you attracting? Like, and this person was saying, I want kids, all these people want kids, all this sort of stuff. So what sort of people are you attracting when you're going out on these dates? And exactly what if I want kids and I'm going on dates, and I'm going on dates with all these girls that don't want kids, that's not them, it's me. Like, I'm putting a mirror out to the world, and I'm attracting all these. And again, like, 100 respect everybody for their decision on what they want. But obviously, if I'm attracting these people, then there's something wrong, with what I'm doing. So I'm attracting the wrong thing. So it's a mirror on me. So it's definitely not a dig at anybody out there, guys or girls or anybody. It was a reflection of me not attracting the right person to want kids. So again, flicking that switch and, okay, so I'm not getting what I want out of these dates, or, how I'm attracting these potential partners. So I had to go and dive deeper into myself. I'm not going to play victim and go, these females just don't know what they want, and this and that and that. They know what they want. It's just I am projecting what I want onto somebody that doesn't want that. So it's me, not them. And sort of, again, so coming back to that question, I'm just going to go into maybe a little bit of politics and off script a little bit here, sharing my opinion. This is my opinion. I don't expect everybody to follow it. Again, it's just everybody has an opinion, and this is what I've sort of come to conclusion with. But where I want to go with this is, again, this whole conversation of finding our true form. I do this podcast because I care about people, and I'm finding a growing number of the community, society, is losing their true form, and their true form is getting hijacked by all these other things. And that comes out in the population decline. So here in Australia, we have got a bit of an issue, and many places around the world. I think Australia's just on, so our birth rate is just enough to sustain our population. So, again, why is that happening? Like, are people just not having sex? Are people not wanting to have kids? Again, this just goes back into, I don't think guys and girls, again, I'm not going to share my opinion here. I could go in a lot deeper. But what I will say is, if you have a strong opinion on this and you actually are working in this industry around sexuality, relationships, dating, all that psychology, human behavior, I would love to have you on the podcast and talk about this. Again, just because it's my opinion doesn't mean it's right, and I don't think it's right. I would love to get somebody on here to change my opinion and help me understand the situation that's happening and why we are in a bit of a, I guess, rut of, not wanting kids or wanting kids, or, again, what am I seeing? What am I not seeing? Let's leave it there and get into some questions. I probably just lost all of you after that, so I might clip this and change it into a different podcast and do a Q&A by itself. All right, so again, big thanks to everybody that have submitted a question for the podcast. A lot of good questions. Again, most of these questions are going to come back to last episodes that are going to help me answer them. So let's get into it. What's the single biggest mistake you've seen beginners make in the gym? Not wearing the right shoes. I'd say probably just doing too much too soon. When it comes to beginning in the gym, you're trying to create a routine and a habit. And people are like, I want to do this, this, and this. I had a consult with a guy the other day, and he wants to, do a front lever. He wants to build muscle. He wants to tone up, and he wants to do like a marathon or something like that. I'm like, just hold on, relax. Choose one. And then we dived into why he wanted to do that one and focus on that one. I'm not saying you can't do all of them, but to try and do 3 or 4 different modalities at once is just going to set you up for failure, because whatever you spend the most time doing is what is going to improve. But if that time is split over 4 different things, you're spending, half an hour, 40 minutes on one thing a week, you're not really going to get anywhere. Where if you spent 40 minutes 4 times a week spending it on that one certain thing, you're spending a lot more time trying to achieve that goal in a short amount of time, so you'll achieve that goal faster. So all I'd say is just chill, choose one thing, and even if you're not sure why you're getting into the gym and doing it, just create a habit. Like, I'd say journal about how you're feeling, why, again, try and find your why, and just journal on about how you're feeling and how your life is improving, and you'll start seeing evidence of why you're doing it and how it's improving your life. So biggest mistake is just, people doing too much or trying to do too much too soon. Just chill, choose one. It's okay. You've got plenty of time, and you will get there if you just spend enough time on that one goal. How do you balance discipline and flexibility so life doesn't feel like a punishment? life should not feel like a punishment doing things that help you live a long, healthy, happy life. I think that comes from like restricting too much. Always, when it comes to this, like I'd rather see you add things in rather than restricting. So let's just say, I don't know, when it comes, usually the punishment comes from restricting diets. So we'll talk about food for a second. So usually when somebody explains to me what they're eating, we go over their daily intake of food, and it's like, oh, what do I have to cut out? I don't want to cut anything out. I like this. And I'm like, okay, well, let's add something in. Like, don't see, like, I was having a conversation about soft drink with somebody and they just drink way too much soft drink. I'm like, okay, let's just double, like, soft drink and a glass of water. We're not taking away the soft drink and they're not freaking out because they're losing their soft drinks. We're just adding a glass of water in, and then maybe we could add a piece of fruit in. It's just find things that you can add in to those things that you already enjoy doing and you don't want to lose. And eventually you might be able to switch it around and go, okay, taking away, half a glass of soft drink and a full glass of water. And then it's a quarter and then a full glass of water. And then eventually it might disappear. But it's okay if it doesn't. Like, again, this is a journey and you're going to find what works for you and what doesn't. Don't see it as a punishment. As soon as you're sort of trying to punish yourself, it's just not going to work because you're going to push back against your feelings, all that sort of stuff. So don't see it as a punishment. Be flexible. Like we were back at Cosmos's thing about resilience. Acceptance and flexibility is the best resilience. So be flexible, but also understand if all you're drinking is soft drink, you're going to be very unhealthy, unfit, and feel like shit all the time. So if you can start adding things in that will help you feel better, add them in. Don't take away, just add them in. Don't know if that answered that question. How should I structure my workouts if I'm only working out 3 days per week? You jump on the True Form community and follow the program there. Generally, I structure that. I'll talk about how I structure that program because I think, again, that program's just a good, well-rounded program for everybody to follow. You're not necessarily going to be able to step on a bodybuilding stage or improve a sport. It's just a well-rounded workout program for everybody to follow, for the general public to feel healthy, move better, and just live a better life. So I usually structure it Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays are gym days, so strength days. And they're full body days. So if you're only working out 3 days a week, I'd recommend full body. So I'd say Mondays and Fridays would be full body workouts. So that means working every single muscle group in the body. If you're not sure how to do that, you're probably going to need to get help or reach out to a personal trainer close to you, in the gym you go to, all that sort of stuff, and just get them to help you understand what a full body workout should look like. Most of them will probably push back and go, nah, do a split, do a full body. If they're pushing you to do a split, like a chest on Monday, back on Wednesday, and legs on Friday, just find a different personal trainer. I'm not saying that that's bad, but if you're only working out 3 days a week, then you need to optimize what you're doing in the gym, and full body is going to get you better results. So understand what a full body workout is. Do that on the Monday and a Friday. It can be the same workout or it can be 2 different full body workouts, whatever you want to do. And then on the Wednesday, I would strongly recommend cardio. I'd probably do 30 to 40 minutes of zone 2 long endurance cardio. So that's where you're just getting it's almost like light cardio. You can almost have a conversation, but you're still sweating. You're still getting a bit of a heart rate up, all that sort of stuff. That's probably going to be about zone 2. And then I'd finish that workout with maybe a 10-minute interval training. So jumping on the air bike or some sort of machine where you can do 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off, like your Tabata style, or changing it up and doing 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, but just 10 minutes of high intensity. So you've just done your long endurance and then you do your interval smash out at the end for 10 minutes. If you can do more than that, you probably haven't worked hard enough through the workout. But 2 days of strength, 1 day of cardio. And then again, like if you're super unflexible and you've only got 3 days to work out, you're probably going to focus on a little bit more flexibility in those workouts. Again, find out what you need to work on and spend a little bit more time on that goal rather than trying to do 3 different goals in each workout during the day. Like that consult I was talking about with the guy where he's trying to do gymnastics, bodybuilding, all this sort of stuff, strength training in the 1 week. Focus on one and do that more often and you'll reach your goal a whole lot quicker. What's one daily habit that helps you stay consistent long term? Sleep. I can't stress that enough. Like, forget everything else. If you have got long-term goals, if you're here and you've been listening to me carry on for so long, you want to find your true form, focus on your sleep. That's one habit that is going to give you far more benefits than any other habit that you can do. Go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time, focus on those pillars at the start and the end of the day, and that is the one thing that will help you get results or stay consistent long term. As soon as your sleep turns to shit, your consistency turns to shit, and you will stop doing the things you need to achieve your goals. I can guarantee that because I've done it myself, and I see a bunch of you doing it as well once the sleep sort of starts getting blown out a bit. All right. What's the difference between training for strength versus aesthetics, and how do I know which one to focus on? Okay, that just goes back to that other episode. Like, what are your goals? Whatever the goals are, just start focusing on that. When it comes down to strength and aesthetics, like how you look and how strong you are, there is correlations there, but there are different programs you can follow. It just, again, like, choose one. You can do a bit of both at the same time. If you follow the True Form workout in the community, you'll probably be hitting both at the same time. Again, I've been doing this long enough and I've seen it done over that many clients. I know that sweet spot that'll get you both. Sometimes we focus on one or the other in the program, but generally it's both. It's just a little bit funner and you just get a little bit more better results. But which one should you focus on? It's up to you. Whatever you want. What are your goals? What's one nutrition habit that has had the biggest difference for my clients? I'd say breakfast. A lot of clients and people I have consults with, they just don't eat breakfast. The old saying, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It's still true. It is the most important meal of the day. But most of the advice I'd give to people is don't change your breakfast, add something in. And this is where a lot of people are like, supplements. I think I've got a question in here about supplements and all that sort of stuff. But most people aren't eating enough protein, especially at breakfast. It's a piece of toast with, I don't know, some sort of spread on there, or it's a piece of toast and an egg. So that's about 8 grams of protein. And you should be getting about 40 grams of protein before lunchtime, maybe 50 grams, depending on how big you are. So having a protein shake with that piece of toast is automatically just going to bump their protein intake up by, 200%. So that's where a supplement might be worth. Most people are rushed and they're trying to get stuff done in the morning, or they sleep in. They haven't got time to cook breakfast. So I'm not going to say, all right, you need to prepare your breakfast, chop it all up, cook it, have this amazing omelette with a bit of meat and veggies and all this sort of stuff, and then put a little bit of stuff on the side to bump it up. No one's going to do that, especially if all they got time to do is make toast. So that's where a protein shake might come in handy. So but then when you're working with me, I'd still try and change that from a piece of toast to adding some actual food to the toast, and then maybe prepping some breakfast so it's not such an effort to have a good, healthy breakfast. So we're still going to change that habit over time. I don't just want you eating toast and not eat real food in your breakfast. So again, over time, we're going to turn that into a good, solid breakfast. But again, not taking away anything, adding something in, and then slowly changing that habit over time. So breakfast would be the biggest difference thing you can do and that's one thing I usually focus on with my clients. Once breakfast is sorted, you either go to the next meal that's struggling, whether it's dinner, lunch, snacks, that sort of stuff. How do you stay motivated when life gets busy and stressful? To be honest, I don't. And I think that's a big misconception, and it goes back to Vahid's episode of you're only going to be optimal 10% of the time. And sometimes that 10% is like 10% over a week. So it might just be a couple of hours in one day for the whole week. Like when I'm stressed and I've got a lot on during the day and I've hardly got time, like there's only certain things I'll focus on and I'm not getting anything done and I am stressed and life is hard, but it's just, I'll focus on the things you do. You're going to eat, so try and make the best decisions around food that you can do. Again, best in that situation. So instead of going for deep fried chips and all that sort of stuff, try and get a salad or just something a little bit more healthier. You're going to sleep, although the sleep might not be as much as what you normally get in those unstressful time, busy times. Whatever sleep you are getting, optimize it. So make sure the room is cold, dark, then there's no devices in the room, all that sort of stuff. So optimize the sleep because you are sleeping. You're going to be drinking liquids, so don't drink your calories, drink water, which reminds me. So just little things like that. You're going to be doing things, just optimize the things you are doing. So if I know a stressful couple of days are coming up and I'm not going to have time to cook, I'll probably prep a few meals or just cook a little bit extra in the meals I am. So I have those leftovers for those days. I will usually try and block out some sort of time for movements, and that could just be a 10-minute yoga or a quick little walk or something like that. Or if I haven't got time and I'm going to a certain destination, I'll make sure I walk to that destination instead of getting public transport or an Uber or something like that. So just, again, little things like you're not going to stay motivated. You're not going to be optimized in those stressful situations, and that's okay. Just optimize for what you can do. Like those stressful times, those busy times will pass, but just optimize for what you can control in those times. I think that's a big misconception that, for myself, everybody's like, oh, you're so motivated all the time. No, I'm not. I just, again, have certain things in play so when I'm not motivated, they just keep going. But again, that's going to look different for you. So find out what works. Do supplements really matter, or should I focus on food first? Food first. Supplements are there to supplement what you're missing in your diet. So again, like I used that example for breakfast, if you're not eating any protein for breakfast, a protein shake might be quite handy. But if you're getting plenty of protein in real food, which is what I try and get my clients to do, you don't need that protein shake. So again, what really matters with supplements is what you're missing. And they're there to supplement your diet, not replace food. All right, a couple of podcasting questions, I guess you could say. What inspired you to start the True Form podcasts? Again, I'm just a big fan of finding my true form. Life is quite difficult to navigate. There's a lot of weird things happening in the world, but I love life. I want to live a long, healthy, happy life, and I want to take you along for the journey. And that's what inspires me, and that's what keeps me going episode after episode. And maybe that inspires me during those busy times where I'm not that motivated or stressed. Has a guest ever changed your perspective or on something important? Yeah, all the time. Like pretty much every guest I get on, I stop and think and try and, again, implement things. And that's why I created the community behind the episode, because I was getting these guests on. I'm like, oh, that's a good lesson to learn. How do I implement it? I try and implement it, do my best, and then put it out in the community and see what works and start changing things from there. So pretty much every episode, like, it might just be something super simple of, I don't know, have not got an example for you. I should have had an example ready. But it might just be something super simple, and that's fine. Like it could just be a 30-second cold shower changes the way your mind thinks in the morning, and it might just sort of flick a couple of switches, something simple like that. So it doesn't have to be life-changing every single episode. It's just those tiny little things, those 1%ers from each episode that start adding up to bigger and bigger things over time. Last one. What's one thing you've learnt from your own health journey that you wish you knew earlier? I've always been big on sleep. So even back in the day when I had a gym and I was working stupid amount of hours and all that sort of stuff, I'd still prioritise sleep. So sleep isn't really something that I'd go back and tell myself. I'd probably say food, but again, food changes over time as you get old. Like what I'm eating now would be different to what I was eating when I'm 20, but both things are optimal for then. Like your body changes and your metabolism changes over time. So what worked for me when I was 28 isn't really going to work for now when I'm 38. So I don't know. Good question. I'll turn that around to you. What's one thing that what you've learned and you would have changed earlier? Maybe consistency. I know through my mid-20s I wasn't as consistent in the gym. I'd sort of still hit it here and there, but I wasn't consistently doing it at least once a week or doing something once a week for a couple of years there. I'd do like a month or two straight and smash it and then not go for 6 months or something like that, where it would have been better just to split those 2 intense months up over once a week for a year rather than just not going for 6 months. That's probably a good lesson to learn. Other than that, I don't know. All right, it's been over an hour, so I am going to leave you all alone. If you're here and you enjoyed it, please let me know what you think, questions. But I'd love to hear your biggest takeaways from the episodes. Your takeaways from the episodes help me find new guests, what direction the podcast can go in, because I know if you're getting takeaways on that topic, I can get a guest on that topic, which is going to help you find your true form. So any takeaways from the podcast, I want to hear them, even if it's just thoughts, theories. Again, if I'm asking questions that sort of upset you in a certain way, like I did with the kids one, don't be afraid to share your opinion. Again, I want to ask better questions, and if they're upsetting you, then they're not very good questions, so I need to improve the way I think about asking questions and putting them in the right way that don't upset people. So again, if you were one of those people, I apologise. But I'm glad you're still here. All right, that'll do. See you all in the next episode.